The samurai must live with honor and die with honor. The way of the samurai is the way of the heart. The samurai must be courteous to all, even his enemies. The samurai must be compassionate and kind to all creatures. The samurai must always strive for self-improvement. The way of the samurai is the way of duty and responsibility. The samurai must always be honest and truthful in his dealings. The samurai must always be mindful of his own mortality. The true samurai is one who can find peace in the midst of chaos. The way of the warrior is to be focused and disciplined in all things. The warrior's strength comes not from his body, but from his spirit. The true warrior knows the value of silence and stillness. The way of strategy is the way of the universe. The warrior must be fluid like water and adapt to any situation. The ultimate goal of martial arts is not victory over others, but victory over oneself. The warrior's mind must be as sharp as his sword. The true warrior is one who can overcome fear and doubt. The way of strategy is the way of understanding oneself and others. A samurai must be always mindful of his own death. The way of the samurai is found in death. The samurai never speaks of victory or defeat, only of living or dying. A samurai's loyalty to his lord must be absolute, even unto death. The true samurai is one who serves his lord with all his heart and soul. A samurai must be skilled in the arts of war and peace alike. The way of the samurai is to be fearless in the face of death. A samurai's honor is his most precious possession. A samurai must always be humble and respectful to others. The samurai must never forget the importance of duty and responsibility. The true master of the sword is one who can win without fighting. The way of the sword is the way of life. The warrior must be calm and centered in the midst of chaos. The warrior's mind must be like a mirror, reflecting everything without judgment. The way of the sword is the way of the universe, with no beginning and no end. The true warrior is one who can control his own mind and emotions. The warrior's path is one of constant self-improvement and self-reflection. The mind of the beginner is empty, open to all possibilities. The true master sees the whole world as his dojo. The warrior must be free from all attachments, even to victory or defeat. The way of Zen is the way of mindfulness and awareness. The warrior must be fully present in every moment, with no distractions. The true warrior is one who can see through illusion and deception. The way of Zen is the way of non-dualism, with no separation between self and other. The warrior's mind must be like a clear blue sky, with no clouds or obstructions. The way of Zen is the way of the void, where all is possible and nothing is certain. The true warrior is one who can find peace in the midst of chaos. The samurai must always remember the importance of honor and duty. The true samurai is one who can overcome his own ego and desires. The samurai must be humble and respectful to all, regardless of their status. The samurai must always be mindful of his duty to his lord and his country. The way of the samurai is the way of the heart, with love and compassion for all. The true samurai is one who can find beauty in simplicity and humility. The samurai must be disciplined in mind, body, and spirit. The way of the samurai is the way of harmony, with a respect for all life. The samurai must be courageous in the face of adversity and never give up. true samurai is one who can remain calm and composed in any situation. The way of the samurai is the way of the sword, with a respect for its power and responsibility. The samurai must always be true to his word and his actions. The true samurai is one who can find meaning and purpose in his life beyond material possessions. The way of the samurai is found in death. The warrior who is alive only for war is a failure in life. The true samurai is one who has conquered himself. If one is not careful, he can spend his whole life seeking honor and still die a nobody. The samurai's greatest enemy is himself. The samurai must be prepared to die at any moment. The samurai must act without hesitation or fear. The way of the samurai is to serve with compassion and humility. The samurai must always seek to improve himself, both mentally and physically. The way of the sword is the way of the universe. The true warrior is the one who can win without fighting. The warrior must be fearless in the face of death. The warrior's mind must be sharp and clear at all times. The way of the sword is the way of emptiness, with no attachments or desires. The warrior must always be aware of his surroundings and his opponent. The true warrior is one who can overcome his own ego and desires. The warrior must be adaptable and flexible like water. The way of the sword is the way of the heart, with love and compassion for all. The wise warrior avoids the battle. The true ruler is one who can lead with wisdom and compassion. The way of the ruler is the way of balance and harmony. The ruler must be just and fair in all his dealings. The ruler must always seek to improve the lives of his people. The way of the ruler is the way of responsibility and duty. The ruler must always be mindful of his own limitations and weaknesses. The true ruler is one who can unite his people with a common purpose. The ruler must be willing to make sacrifices for the greater good. The way of the ruler is the way of patience and perseverance.